Welcome my dear listeners, stay with me to get the spoilers first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on The Young and the Restless. Shelley says yes, Jack turns to Patty Phyllis walk into a war she cannot win. Thursday's episode of The Young and the Restless is one of those days where every corner of Genoa City feels like it is about to spill open. Shelley Spectra finally gives Billy Abbott the answer he has been waiting for, and he is on cloud nine. Jack Abbott begins to sketch out a dangerous new strategy as he decides Diane may never soften. Phyllis Summers continues digging her heels in even as Christine Blair Romalotti officially becomes the district attorney, standing between her and prison meanwhile. Patty Williams is hanging around town long enough to become Jack's latest weapon, and Victoria Newman is still fully armed and ready to defend the Newman family at Phyllis' expense. There are a lot of moving parts to the episode, but the emotional engine is simple. Nobody's getting what they want without making a mess for someone else. The happiest thread in the episode is Billy and Shelley's, and even that happiness is fraught with nerves. Billy shocks Jack with the news that Shelley is pregnant and that he proposed to her through she didn't say yes yet. When he first delivered the news, Jack is genuinely happy for Billy, even if he is miserable in his own romantic row with Diane, and the family moment is sweet as it's one of the few seconds where the mood isn't immediately poisoned by resentment or revenge. The optimism of the morning is still fragile. Billy is clearly on edge as Sally hasn't accepted the proposal yet, and the show really makes sure we understand that there is still a lot of emotional weight to the romance. Shelley's story is really a story about fear in happiness costume. She tells Audra that she is still doubtful, surprised by the proposal, and still worried that she might not be ready for this type of commitment. The recap reveals that Shelley has built up armor over her past, and that armor comes from old pain, failed engagements, the feeling that nobody ever fully chose her, and the memory of losing a child. Audra assures herself she has to see that Billy has chosen her. Shelley remains afraid he will change his mind as others before him have. That insecurity is exactly why that eventual yes works so well later in the day. That is not a yes from a woman who has never been hurt. It's a yes from someone who's done the hard work of admitting she is scared and choosing to trust anyway. That moment arrives when Billy tracks her down again at the Chancellor Park Cafe. Audra slips away. Billy asks Shelley if she is thought any more about his proposal, and finally Shelley makes up her mind. Yes. The ring is ready, and the engagement is real when he puts it on her finger and they kiss. The whole exchange is warm, direct, and unusually uncomplicated for the soap, and that's what makes it stand out. Shelley does not suddenly become fearless, she just opts for the future she desires over the fear she has been crying. The spoilers reveal that the two will be celebrating the good news, and the recap makes it clear that Billy and Shelley are stepping into a new chapter together. Even the question of the pregnancy remains in the background. Back at the Abbott mansion, Jack receives a very different kind of revelation. There's good news for Billy, but Jack is still patching about the fallout of his time with Patty Williams on the yacht. Jack keeps trying to remember exactly what happened, and when he puts it together, he decides he was actually playing Patty until the drugs kicked in and clouded his judgment, according to the recap. Now that he sees that, he has a fresh, sharp angle on the whole mess. Jack doesn't just sit there mortified by what went down. He starts thinking like an Abbott again. If Patty was in one Victor's play, then maybe he can use her right back. The line, "I have got nothing to lose," sums it up perfectly. Jack isn't thinking about damage control anymore. He is contemplating revenge. That's what is so great about the Patty material. She is not a harmless oddity who wanders into town when she shows up at the GCAC and formally introduces herself to Kale. Kale knows who she is right away, doesn't shake her hand, and tells her she better not to planning anything with his father. Patty tries to reason with him, but Kale won't listen. He gets her out and makes it clear that if she gets in the way of Jack and Diane's future, he will make it his mission to make her life miserable. He also tells her that Diane may never forgive Jack. Patty pushes back with the short-up, nasty little job that tells Kale she is absolutely willing to keep poking at the family-owned. Victoria walks into that tension quickly, and the scene is a mini moral duel in its own right. Kale asks her what Victor did to his parents' marriages, and Victoria refuses to take the blame herself. The recap shows her saying Jack is no saint either, and even if Kale won't hear any comparison between Jack and Victor, Victoria doesn't back down totally. Instead, she is open and speaks of how Victor nearly died last year and how that affected her. She ends by saying that love the sinner, hate the sin can apply to both of their fathers. It's her way of confessing that family loyalty and family disappointment are all tied up together in a same ugly knot. This conversation matters because Victoria is not simply repeating Victor's side of the war. She's trying to find a way to justify how you can still love broken men without excusing the harm any cause. That gives Jack exactly the opening he needs. He walks in the bar, sees Patty sitting there and smiles, ready to put his plan in motion. The recap makes it clear that Jack has decided to use Patty against Victor, and the reasoning is as absurd as it gets. If Victor can use other people to shape outcomes, then Jack can do the same. Already disappointed that Diane still isn't budging on forgiveness, he moves into offense instead of waiting for the marriage to fix itself. The memory of the youth is a strategy board in his mind now. Pat is no longer merely an embarrassment or a complication. She is leverage. Now Jack is ready to meet Victor there if he wants to play dirty. All this is running alongside the Phyllis story, which keeps the legal temperature boiling. Christine, now the district attorney and officially sworn in, talks to Danny about the matter at Crimson Lights off screen, and Daniel soon joins them. Michael warns Christine that her new job is Phyllis' worst nightmare. Phyllis is already furious that Daniel has discussed the case with Christine, and the recap shows her storming in and accusing her son of betraying her trust. Christine says she will not let old resentment cloud her judgment, but she also says she has an obligation to look into the case if the information is potentially incriminating, and now Phyllis' worst fear is upon her. Christine won't discard the evidence just because it has Victor's name on it. What's most heartbreaking about Phyllis' sin, through is not the legal threat, it is the breaking up of the family. Daniel wants her in prison. She thinks and says the betrayal of a child is like a dagger in the heart. Only Phyllis could say a line like that and not blink an eye because she is angry, she is hurt, and she thinks the whole town is against her. Daniel, on the other hand, shrugs and tells her that she is the one at fault for bringing this one herself, which makes the scene even more horrible because it takes away the possibility of easy reconciliation. Danny tries to console Daniel after Phyllis has left, but it is too late. Phyllis' patience has run out. She feels abandoned by her son at the very moment she needs him most. Overall, the episodes feels like the different types of fallout happening at once. Charlie chooses love and says yes to build his future. Jack decides patience with Danny is over and reaches for Patty as a weapon. Phyllis walks deeper into a legal fight that now has Christine, Victor, Victoria, and her own family pressing on her from all sides. The drama is messy, but it's the kind of mess YNR does best. Romance at table, revenge at hallway, family betrayal at coffee shop. By the end of the day, Charlie's wearing a ring, Jack's plotting his next move, and Phyllis is starting down prison, realizing the people she expected to protect her may be the ones pushing her right over the edge. And this is where the episode quietly flips the script because what looks like these separate stories is actually a dangerous pattern repeating itself. Shelly chooses love, Jack chooses strategy, and Phyllis chooses war. But here's the uncomfortable truth only one of those choices is actually building something. The other two are setting fires they might not control. I'll be honest, Shelly's yes feels like the bravest moment of the entire episode, not because it's romantic, but because it's risky. She's not saying yes because she feels safe. She's saying yes despite the fear. And that kind of choice, it either creates something real or it gets tested harder than anything else. Now compare that to Jack. Because Jack isn't choosing love right now, he is choosing leverage and bringing Patty into the game. That's not strategy, that's escalation. It tells me he is already accepted that fixing things with Diane might not be possible, so now he is shifting into win at any cost mode. And when Jack Abbott starts thinking like that, somebody always pays for it. Then there's Phyllis, and this is where it gets painful because she doesn't even realize she's already losing. She's fighting the system, fighting Christine, fighting Victor, but the real loss is Daniel. Once your own child stops defending you, the battle isn't in court anymore, it's at home. So now we have got three paths: a love story built on hope, a revenge plan built on desperation, and a legal war built on denial. And here's the question that keeps pulling me in. Which one collapses first? Does Shelly and Billy's happiness survive the pressure that's clearly coming? Does Jack lose more than he gains by playing Patty's game? Or does Phyllis finally hit the moment where she has to choose between being right and being free? Because right now, nobody's backing down, and in Genoa City, that's usually when everything breaks at once. Something tells me the next move won't just shift one story, it's going to collide all three. So, what do you think? Did Shelley just say yes to her future, or step into a storm she cannot see yet? And is Jack about to outplay Victor or walk straight into a trap of his own making? Because if this episode proved anything, it's that every yes, every plan, and every fight, it's about to be tested in ways none of them are ready for.